Hello, welcome. So, I have a bit of a confession to make. Um, Something went wrong with my original script. And so I'm going to be living from the very thing that this talk is all about. And that is about being the good girl and doing it right and being absolutely on point. So I'm going to give you some really good information that, from my standpoint, what my wish for you is that you too start living from what is your truth. And I know I have a very well-educated audience out there, and you've been doing a lot of work on all of these types of topics. And I think especially in this day and age, for us as women, we really need to take a good, hard look at what is ours, as in our truth, in our essence, and being able to speak from there, to be able to move from there, and not all the conditioning that we've taken on board. I have been living on the edge of really the brink of something new for many, many years. And it all started when I was 16 years old, and I was living in South Africa, Cape Town, with my parents, who then wanted to go on to then called Zambia. And I didn't want to go because I knew inside my truth was that if I did that, something in me would die. I could feel it. I knew it. And it was not a good feeling. And so I asked to stay in Cape Town. And it was really scary to ask for that. And it was my mother who said yes. There's a lot of background to this story, but I'm just going to say this piece. What it broke free in me was that I knew that I could risk stepping out beyond what I previously knew, like the company of my family. I never looked back. I had an incredibly adventurous life, and that began the thread of something that actually even brings me to speak to you today. One of the things that I see in many of us as women and with my clients is how much we have taken on board to be the one who shows up, the one who presents herself in a very particular way. We take on board other people's opinions, other people's ideas, other people's ideals of what a good woman is, of what a good girl is. And we actually grow into it in such a way that we never really question it, that it becomes part of our identity. So one of the things that I think is really predominant is when we have an inner truth, an inner knowing. Maybe it's the way someone has spoken to us, and we don't course correct that. will somehow placate or somehow soften it, or maybe take it on board that it was something to do with us. Maybe we didn't do this, that, or the other. We didn't ask properly. We didn't name it properly. Whatever the it is that we didn't do, we'll take it on board and we'll blame ourselves. Rather than really checking in, what is my essence here? What is that truth that wants to be spoken? What is that truth that wants to move, to take action? So what is it for you? I invite you to take a few minutes here and think back to a time when maybe there was something that needed to be said or something that needed to be done that was going to in some way respect and honor you. If you have that in mind, then just put a thumbs up in the chat. What did you do with that feeling? Did you take action? Did you speak up for and on behalf of yourself? If you didn't, what stopped you? Then, underneath and behind all of that, how did you feel about yourself afterwards? What was the residue of that? What was the residue of that? And how long did that linger for? Was it a couple of hours? Did you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it? The shoulda, woulda, couldas? What did you do with it? So often what we'll do is just shove it down and remember some of our old conditioning. You know, as kids, it's often children should be seen and not heard. There are all these silly little things that float around in our heads, but they have an influence. They're there for a reason. And again, I'm going to come back to, especially for us as women, we have taken it on board. We have been so, and I'm going to be really kind of quite blunt here, dumbed down. We see it everywhere. We see it everywhere. And just look around, just listen to what's happening in the world today. There is an energy rising. What is this whole summit about but 1 million women rising? That means that we have to step out beyond being the good girl. That means that we have to step into our own truth and our own power and represent that in the world, not the old conditioning. I have another question for you. When you're invited to go maybe to a restaurant or to a movie or something, and maybe it's not a movie or a restaurant you particularly like, what do you say? What do you do? Do you go along with the crowd? Or do you say something? When it comes to women in leadership, we can be really, really good in certain scenarios. So maybe in your leadership position, in your careers, in your work, in your business, you're really, really good at speaking up and taking charge. Brilliant. Well, what about those other places? What about with mother-in-law or the mother or your partner? How are you there? How does it work for you there in those scenarios, in those situations? Do you put forward your own ideas? Do you stand for them? Do you stand for what's important about your idea? These are all questions to really look at. If you do speak up in those ways, what's informing you? What values are you bringing into action? And if you're not, then what values are you not bringing into action? Each and every one of us came in with a unique representation of something quite beautiful. We came in with joy. We came in as little joy bubbles. And over time, things got kind of put on us. As you can tell, I'm an import here. I'm a citizen here and I'm an import. And so my growing up doesn't have the same imprints as an American born here. That's because I was born in UK and I have all of those imprints. And I started to question those early on. I don't live in the UK for a reason. I love the US because of the way that it invites expansion. It invites stepping up, stepping out, stepping forward. But I also see how the constraints of the society and religions and all the other things that are the loyalties to our families start to create our identities. And that's what happens over time, is that we start to take on board all those other aspects. And that was great because it helped us survive in our environments. And we had to be part of the tribe, to be part of the family. We had to do that. It's a great survival mechanism, absolutely. The thing is that that's not who you are. That's not the truth of who you are. Who you are is much greater than that. Again, think of yourself as that little baby, born, vibrant, alive, kicking, screaming, laughing, just full of life. Like it's off the Richter scale, life. Where is your life force now? Where does it exist now? If you were to calibrate that, where would that needle point to? That's going to be an indicator. When you walk into a restaurant, and you just kind of, maybe it doesn't smell right, maybe it doesn't feel right. Do you turn around and walk right out again and say, sorry folks, can't do this one, let's go find something else? Do you take leadership that way? A million women rising. 2 million women rising. 5 million women rising. We can only rise when we're coming from that vital life force that is ours, not what others have put on top of us to try and dampen us down. What is your deepest desire, deepest longing? When do you close yourself off and pretend that you didn't feel what you felt? When do you walk away from a conversation feeling icky and taking it on that maybe that was something that you did something wrong? I'm going to assert that you didn't. And if you did do something wrong, then what do you do with that? Do you go back and say something about it? One of the biggest takeaways I wish for you is that you start paying attention, like exquisite attention to the way your body responds to a certain situation, to certain words, to certain conversations. Does your body open or does it close down? Do you feel safe or do you feel like you're ready to protect? What do you do with those moments? What's the promise that you want to make to yourself that will have you step into more of your essential life force that wants to live through you in such a way that it will take you on a journey that you can't even imagine right now? What if that's what lives on the other side of withdrawing, of being the good girl? Are you willing to step across that line and make that commitment, make that promise to yourself that each and every day you will honor yourself in some way that represents you breaking free from the constraints of everyone else's opinions, ideas, and restrictions on who and how and what you are supposed to be? I'm here holding your rope as you climb that mountain. This is from my heart to your heart. This is what I think is so important. And if we're going to become a million women rising, this is an essential part of it. So rise on, dear woman. Rise on and bite the ass of life. My love to you.